Let me help you believe in what we can do when we stand united. We are one with the world. We can make a brighter tomorrow. Together, make a change. It's alive. We can step back from what we know is right. So let's shine our light. Oh, let's shine our light. We won't listen to what they're saying. We know it's just love that we're giving to this place that we call our home. We can't change what's been done, but it's still our run. We are one little world. Wow, we can make a brighter tomorrow. Together, make a change. Change so life. We can step back from what we know is right. So let's shine our light.
Well, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to this webinar. We're very happy to have you here. Thanks for Catalyst for giving us this space once again to talk a little bit about circular economy and the implications that it can have on, well, the economy and on community growth. So we are very happy to have you here. We have three amazing guests that are Marc-André, Francois, and David. And the idea is to have a conversation. Please, if you have any questions, write them on the chat. We want to learn from all of you. Don't want it to be just like an interview, but wanted it to be more a conversation. First, I want to introduce to Marc-André. Marc-André is, let me share screen. So Marc-André is a project manager, philosopher, and sustainability impact consultant. His multidisciplinary work experience has led him to found Synergium, that is a consulting company that supports SDG-related and circular economy projects. Currently an MPhil on business ethics candidate on moral identity of small businesses and the role towards a responsible society.
Hi,
Marc.
everybody. Thank you for joining us in this webinar. Like Anna said, it's a conversation about the benefits and real-life examples of circular economy business and projects that are really interesting. Anna is also, thank you for the introduction. And Anna is also working at Synergium for more than 2 years, doing great work with us. She has a background as a political scientist, specialized in public policy with 5 years experience and working on social projects. So she helped to engineer some projects in Latin America and African countries, some of them touching circular economy and helping a lot in developing the circular economy platform that we would like to introduce you to at the end of the webinar. So stay with us until the end. There's a circular economy map that we'd like to show to you guys. And working in project management for small companies and nonprofit organizations. So Anna, thank you very much. And now I'll introduce Francois also. Francois that is with us. And David, and I will introduce David. David was with us at last year's webinar, and Francois was a participant or attending the webinar. And after that, we connected, and he was developing a project as a visionary of how to reuse the technology with EFRI EDX. So about recycling or reusing the laptops with the core system, operating system, with a social mission around it also. So he's a pioneer in educational technology earning international acclaim, a lot of visibility in Mauritius Island. Congratulations for all of that, Francois, and I'm looking forward to
Thank you.
learning more about the reuse, revamp, e-waste training and digital
Thank you.
opportunities.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
And well, last but not least, we want to introduce you to David Debussy. He is an environmental engineer and consultant with a decade of experience in R&D, sustainability capacity building, and circular economy consulting in different areas of the world, in Asia, Europe, Central America, and Africa. He is the co-founder of EcoAmet Solutions, an environmental consulting and research providing company in Ghana. He leads the provision of solid waste management consulting, research, and innovation. So now Francois is going to tell us a little bit about reuse revamp.
On my side, it's 8 p.m. So good evening and good morning wherever you are in the world. So yeah, Reuse Revamp is an initiative that we started during the COVID-19 last year. But at the same time, we started this initiative because there was a lack of deep access to technology, especially laptops. This is with the COVID-19, the challenges, and we found that we were thinking how we can solve the problem of accessibility to technology in education. So we have a pilot project with Fly, which supports underprivileged communities, and we are here to. During the introduction, I will be pleased, more than happy to share with you about how we do it, what are the challenges, how we can scale it, and you also can and replicate it on your silos. Yeah.
Thank you, Francois. And now, David.
Hi, everybody. I am currently calling from Accra, Ghana, so it's 4 p.m. here, so probably good late afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation, Synergium, and I really appreciate the platform, Catalyst 2030 as well. So we at EcoAmet Solutions have always been excited about innovations in environment and sustainability, contributing to circular economy. And about 2 years ago, we had some product designers and technical engineers joining our team, and they were saying very excited about what they could potentially do to reduce waste management. So here in Accra, and I'm sure it's very similar to most countries where organic waste is everywhere. We have coconut waste. Coconut has been enjoyed by a lot of people as a snack, as a drink, as a refresher everywhere. But the waste from the husk and shells are just given, or it lies on the shoulders of the vendors to just take care of it. And this is causing a lot of problems. Coconut has already been proven to have some really, really good properties. So we're like, why not? Why don't we start solving this waste management challenge and give a little bit value on the waste material that is just randomly discharged or discarded everywhere. And we find some really interesting properties in it. And Synergium has been working with us for a couple of, about over a year now, supporting us to sort of modify the system to an industrial level where third parties could use this to making products that we could see on the shelves. So we are really excited about this journey and happy to discuss a little bit more about what we've learned throughout this journey with you all. Thanks.
Thank you, David. And we also invite you all to please share on the chat your name, your organization, and what motivated you to join us. We want to get to know you a little bit, so please share on the chat your information. And now we'll get started with our conversation. Mark?
Yes.
The floor is yours.
I think David was already in the first question, the first answer. So I'd like to continue on that. So we were talking about what brought you to implement a circular economy business model. So David, maybe you could just add a little bit more, and then we'll ask Francois about him also, and then maybe talk a bit about what's the point in common, about what's the general motivation that we see for initiating circular business model.
Exciting. Thank you. So, I mean, it has been a very exciting journey working in circular economy consulting and sustainability, and now finally able to sort of craft something with our own hands and see how every aspect of our lives come together in circular economy, especially when we are looking at the social aspect where people are just used to just throwing things away. It starts impacting us because here in Accra, Ghana, there is this annual floods that everyone looks forward to. But then these are also contributing factors to all these annual floods because we have open gutters, and when these materials float or find themselves into the gutters, they block the channels for waterway. So in a bid, we are contributing to social life. We're contributing to economic activities improvement in the country. And what we like about our module that we have adapted is that we can practically use very simple technology that can be adapted and replicated at the grassroots. So we can replicate it everywhere that anyone finds waste. They just have to go through a simple training, and then people who are either formal or informal can adapt the process and just modify it and get some ends meet. So we are excited about how circular economy makes things easy for people of different ages, social status, economic status to all come together and share ideas and actually have common things to talk about. And that's something interesting that we have learned from this journey of adapting the circular economy model.
Good, very good. I like that it's not just about the switch from linear to circular, but there's all that social aspect, and it's a transition also. You see, there's things laying around, there's waste that can be an opportunity, and not just the innovative aspect, but really the social impact. Good. Francois, does that resonate to you? Is there anything in continuity or similar in the reasons behind why you decided to implement or go along
Yeah.
the circular economy?
In fact, yeah, definitely, because it creates opportunity. In fact, the social impact, the environment. When we started the reuse revamp, especially when we were trying to, or still trying, we're trying to reduce e-waste. But at the same time, while we are talking about laptops and repairs, people are still in the old mindset. It's because we are trying to bring a sort of new mindset. How instead of jumping into the buying mindset, so how we can teach the young youth and help them to learn how to repair and to sustain their initiative and create jobs opportunity. So it's a very complex things, and at the same time, it it's a way to reduce, as I said, e-waste, but at the same time, while teaching people on laptop repairs, we hope that this will have a sort of, tell it in French, a déclic, a sort of some
Signal.
ideas,
Yeah.
how they can replicate what we are doing in other electronic ways, areas, so that it get more and more impact, because, Mark, when we started to talk 1 year ago, we were talking about a lot of ways of how reuse revamp can go, but we try to stick to the laptops repairs for now. But this same model can be replicated in other areas, other fleets, and so on. Yeah.
Interesting. Absolutely. It's inspiring. So I remember when we had the conversation, and the model was much wider, and that's what we said, says narrow it down so that the impact is more clear and inspiring to either be able to replicate it at different levels and scale it up later. But I like what you're saying, that it's not just about the cleaning aspect or the innovative aspect, but there's an educational aspect also that is not limited to only your own activities. It's brings it to it brings inspiration, I was saying, to other sectors that could be using it also. And then it's the skills that people build through that those operations or through that those activities. And like you say, the value, I think one of the value of circular economy is the cycles. There we look at the social, the environmental, but even we look at the economical aspect. Every loop, there's an added value of a transaction of people working, and there's positive fallbacks or value for the people that are involved. It creates income, it creates a access to products also, for access to goods, and like what you're doing, François. So maybe we could continue on that, on the added value that you perceive in
Yeah.
it, about accessibility to laptops. Maybe you could tell us a bit more about that aspect.
Yeah, and in fact, I would like to add with what David is doing. And at the end of the life of the laptop, so when it is unusable and the
Hmm.
parts are unusable, what we do with that? Instead of throwing in the nature, throwing away. So we're trying to find ways to with the help of artists, craftsmen. By the way, we had an event in March where we create a trophy with resin and with the parts of the laptops inside of it. So if you go to the website, you will see it in the news. So we can share it later on, because those who donated the laptops, they were very happy to get a trophy as a recognition of donation of laptop. So they are putting it in their office. Okay. At the same time, we are showing the kids, the businesses, the small business, how they can also use these parts to create some very modern. It can be in a nice desk with resin, with parts in it, so you can have a sort of high tech. Let's say you're in a high tech or school labs or whatever. So it can be very in a very design. So uh, it I think at a point in time we will talk again with David and see how his product can be. We can mix the product so that we have a sort of digital with the boards, with the digital part, so that we can sustain the project together. Because let me talk about the accessibility to why we are doing this project. Because I'm coming. I don't. I don't. I'm not shy to say that I'm come from a very modest family. I know exactly what is the challenge of having access to laptop, because I had my very late in my first computer, and I know that very unprivileged communities, families, they have very large, very lot of challenges to have access to technology in this era of AI technology age. But they are I have visited a few countries across the African countries. I know exactly. I have lived there. I have stayed in the huts to understand all the challenges. Because people who don't live in these challenges community, they do not understand. So the small laptop that people are throwing away because it's a little bit slow or whatever, buying the latest MacBook Pro or whatever latest device that is you're promoting. The device still working, but this device that people are putting away can transform life of many in terms of education, in terms of empowerment, access to information technology. So I think that's what we're trying to do. Because this morning I was talking to the founder of Will Fly. She told me something very. I was very emotional when I heard that. Why she's doing what she's doing in terms of empowering uh, the kids. She told me something very emotional. She told me that she's doing that because some kids don't have even a table at home to sit and to do their homework. Just imagine the challenges of, let's say, the family, the disrupted, the family, or maybe too many noise in they can't work on that. And I think this, when we are adding the access to the technology so that we can expand the horizon of the kids, instead of going and around or do whatever, having access to technology in a proper way so that they can evolve. So just that we are reducing e-waste, at the same time we are trying to empower. I stop here, so otherwise I will
Yes.
continue to talk.
Uh-huh.
Because
There's more questions to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the transformative power of circular economy. From there's the cleaning aspect, the educational aspect, the opportunity, and when we look at the benefit for a business in having access to those resources, where we look at the benefit for a community, where we can look at it even bigger, how it can transform access to technology, participation to the digital age that we're living in, having that input from context all around the world. It becoming almost like, I wouldn't say it's not, it shouldn't be just a privilege. It should be something that is accessible. So there's a moral transformation at the same time of the access to the education to what you're doing, Francois. And I remember also we are talking about synergies with David. I remember we talked about that. David says, we can use the fiber from the coconut to make the sleeves to put the refurbished laptop also at some point. So having
Exactly.
involvement synergies in the horizontal chain of supply, or about the operations and deployment of the product itself. But that's going to be another conversation, maybe next year webinar, how there was synergies that was created. But David, I wanted to hear a little bit. We talked about the value also that you perceive in it. So maybe we could move on with, but maybe for the people that are less familiar with circular economy, because we didn't want to have a webinar that is explaining the structure or the definition of what is circular economy. We wanted to jump right into the real stuff, but maybe we can just specify what loop does it belong to, your project, David? Is it more on the repair, refurbishing, reusing, recycling? So that we can position where it stands, understand the model.
Yeah, so yeah, just a quick one. Our model is basically just taking coconut waste and we are adding a little bit of value to it to get back into manufacturing. Could be potentially used for a semi-finished material that could be used in place of packaging materials, could be used in making, in the construction industry, for making furniture, for making walls. It also has some noise prevention properties as well. So could potentially be used in studios, be used in interior designing and stuff like that. So we are basically doing sort of reuse of this waste material and a combination of upcycling. But I wanted to touch a bit on what Francois was mentioning, because I think we have spoken, when it comes to circular economy space, we've spoken a lot about our mechanism, the techniques that we are using, trying to make sure it's carbon neutral or even positive energy levels and all that. We've spoken a lot about all these things, but where we get our raw materials from has not really been spoken about much. And if you look at his model, for example, however a user uses a laptop or an electronic material device and just disposes it affects his work significantly. And I think that reflects literally in everything that you do, because at first, when we're thinking of what kind of material should we be collecting, what kind of coconut shells we'll be collecting, is it the ones that the vendor has cut it in a certain shape so that we can get full access to the fibers that we have? So however users use materials that could potentially end up in a circular economy loop really, really affect us. And I think as entrepreneurs and as people, consultants and people in the space, we should also add our voice to that kind of education to educate people on how to really use materials. I'm actually picturing a certain future to the extent where circular economy will actually be taught like how people have to be taught before they drive. so that people really understand how to use materials, because people just think, I just drink a bottle and I just dump it somewhere. If it's a canned drink, you just fold it. Actually, I saw an ad recently talking about how you shouldn't fold your aluminum can when you're done drinking. So, but we just think we just have to toss it into the bin. So it's just okay. But people who are going to reprocess it have to go through extra work because of how we handled it when we were using it. And I think that is something super important. And I think, Francois, you're really doing a good job over there with education.
It is. You're bringing an excellent point, David. The collection process needs to be embodied in the operations, either by the business that is going to upcycle the materials, or as a partnership for one that's what they do, and there's something in it for everybody. It's not easy to make a sustainable circular economy business model, because there's costs, there's management, there's operations, there's planning at every step. If it's a weekend project that you can say, well, I'm going to transform this on my own spare time, it's not the same thing. You can have a very good idea and it works perfectly well, but when you're ready to scale it up, to bring it to a commercial level, it's a different ball game. That's where we come in. It's Synergium to help you to structure the project with the pilot project. It's often the big challenge. We talked about that, David, the early in your project. Say, who's going to collect it? Where are they going to get it? What's going to be the quality of the material? Is there something that can be done for every type of material that's going to be collected? And how you're going to motivate people to contribute to it. So there is a part of education, like you say, um, and sometimes it takes time to pick up. So thank you for bringing that point up. So maybe this brings us, Francois,
Yeah.
where do you fit in the loop? And then we can talk about the challenges that you have regarding those loops. So
I would like
you're
just
in the
to jump on what David just mentioned
yes.
in the education part. And what we are trying to do is to educate those people who are doing for promoting sustainability. We're trying to help that those people who are promoting sustainability to reuse revamped laptops, or not it's not necessary to be our product, but instead of let's say they are doing a presentation across the country, instead of coming with a brand new laptops each and every time, to showcase that they are promoting sustainability, but they are also using reuse laptop and so on, instead of showing the latest in technology and laptops and so on. So we're trying to do that at the same time. And at the same time, we're trying to make the people to learn how to optimize the device in such a way that it works like even faster than a brand new machine. At later stage, I will show you what we are trying to do. But the machine I'm using to this call is a revamped laptop that works perfectly. So just to tell you that we can do a lot of things, attending events and so on. Yeah, on this one. Yeah, I wanted to share.
Yes, good. Thank you. So we do address one of the main challenge that we're pointing out is the educational aspect and the collecting,
Mm-hmm.
and then the usage also. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe more in the real example, or how did you, it could be the challenges that you're currently facing, challenges that you were able to overcome, or challenges that you could not overcome and just decided to take a different direction because of that situation.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear you guys on
Uh,
that.
uh, yeah, I'm smiling. I'm laughing at the same time.
Go ahead. That means you're ready
It's a
to
big it's a
answer.
big yeah, it's a big challenge. Promoting the challenge is that when you're promoting circular economy, a lot of people, they're still in their old mindset. This is one challenge. So that you need to change the mindset. So in terms of the youth, but even people who are at a certain level, it's at the government level, you change the mindset in terms of they for what they have their own program that need to understand that. And it's a business thing, because when we are on moving with this concept of reuse, and they are seeing that it works, and it can be empowered at large scale, this is a big issue for business, those who are selling the device for brand new devices. So this is a big challenge that we need, but we need to have a sort of balance of that, because to help people to understand when to buy, when to donate, and when to. So yes, this is a big one of the challenge. But at the same time, these challenges are creating a lot of opportunities in terms of jobs, of 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 uh, of job opportunity for the kids and so on. Yeah, yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, well, we'll keep some space for David, and then we'll see if there's other challenges that we could put on the
Yeah,
table.
definitely.
Thank you,
I
Francois.
think, I mean, in the space, and thanks, Francois, for mentioning these things. In the space, there are a couple of challenges that we are facing, but I will just highlight three of them, which I feel that they are very, very connected to each other. One is value. Adding value to your product itself is a challenge on its own because you need to be very creative and innovative about it. The second thing, I'll get back to all of these and how they are connected with each other briefly. And one is competition. So just as Francois mentioned, there are a couple of companies that are already in the state of the art doing a couple of things. So if you want to let's say get into the packaging industry like we are trying to enter, we have a product that it's let's say more sustainable, but doesn't necessarily mean that our process is cheaper. So it means that our product might be more expensive than what is in the state of the art, which might probably not be sustainable. But then are people willing to pay more because of what we are saying is sustainable or not? That is always a big challenge for people in this space. And I think that connecting that competition to the value um, uh, um, addition to your product, there is a very thin line in there, and that is where we in this space do not really explore very well. And I think that's what Synergium has really helped us a lot with, is trying to find business models that will make us fit in a specific niche. So we cannot serve everybody for sure. So we need to identify our niche where we think that it's going to really help us very well. But still, finding that niche is also a very big challenge. But if you're able to identify your market and add a very good value that fits and satisfy your market, then whatever price range or whatever thing that you'll be dealing with your market will be very, very suitable. But mentioning that, I think that people in the circular economy space should really explore value addition, because we're in a space where the market is huge, but it's very competitive. So if you really need to attract people, you cannot just say that I'm producing sustainable menstrual products, so it just has to be just as it is. When people go to the shelves, they want to see something that appeals to them. In as much as we are adding like dye and color and so many other things, we need to be very careful that all these additives are so sustainable, which is also a challenge. Finding all those sustainable materials and still making it, um, cost effective is a challenge. But that's our burden, and that's what research and development is also open to. So we need to add this value to our product so that it can also be very attractive to the market. Though I kind of mentioned solutions to this, these are very significant challenges that I think we face in this space.
I agree. Uh, there's the moral aspect, and we say we want to have a positive environmental impact. And we know that's not an argument that's enough to convince everybody to jump on the product, especially when people have financial constraints. There's a period of inflation, economic is not easy for everybody. So they're gonna address people gonna survive before it's physical need before the mental need. Of course, we know that in even the medium term, it's more than just a moral value. It has an impact on the general survival, impact on climate, and we're bringing that. But if we need a transition that is faster, just waiting for the moral incentive, there needs to be something that is in continuity with encouraging people to buy, so that they have both of the both benefits. So the positive moral environmental impact, but also for their wallet. So exactly, that's a huge challenge, and niching your product is an angle. Try to maximize the market opportunity and be able to grow the product, and be sure also that you're not spreading yourself everywhere in terms of expenses and in timeline also for the success of the product. You need to be able to have an alternative that is financially competitive. So that's where we sometimes the challenge is also accessing to funding to be able to support the project, or having, we talk about governments that could maybe have some incentive. You have programs where they can either support the production with a special funding that can help make the production cheaper and then the product more competitive, or maybe have some programs where there's incentive for buyers with a tax credit or something like that that's going to motivate them to buy a circular economy product also. So there's some challenges in terms of more macro economic or local funding and support for that. So I think creating that awareness, putting the projects out there, definitely something that can be an obstacle. And that's why we need to work in collaboration on horizontal supply chain, and see who is already doing something that could be part of that, so that there's not extra cost of everybody doing it in silo on their side and making themselves competitive between each other, but more in continuity, lowering the cost, developing how could they say the marketing, the visibility gets bigger when you're more partners also in it, more reach. That's what I was trying to say, more market reach when you're more partners in continuity. David, your hand is raised, so
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I when you were mentioning something about funding, I just wanted to ask this question. I think, I mean, any of us could answer if we know anything about this. There are a lot of entrepreneurs within the space who are investing a lot into education, trying to get people's attention and educating users, educating people who their clients and stuff like that. Um, are there any kind of support, let's say funding opportunities for these kind of activities? Because I think that throws a lot of entrepreneurs off, that they will have to invest a lot of time into education, and maybe it's not worth it, and they could have a really good idea, and just drop it because it might not be feasible to change people's mindsets to sort of adapt this.
So you're asking if there's any programs that can maybe help
Yeah, are there
support
any
the
programs
education
like that?
aspect?
This could potentially help someone, I think.
Yeah, well, there are. I don't have one top of my head, but there are programs that are there to support the deployment, the production, and there's some funding also that are there to support the educational aspect. Very often there's those two panels or two different I would say volets, I have the word, those, yeah, those two potential aspects are of the funding. Anna, yes, you want to share something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say regarding what David said. Yeah, there are some grants, like specifically, like there are some governments that are more committed into like sustainability and moving into the circular economy, that they do have some grants, even like just to like fund like one part of the whole business, or as Mark was saying, the training or the education, that's also another option, like to partner up like with NGOs or schools that are working to promote sustainability, and that can benefit both. And I also wanted to add make another question to Francois in the same regarding, like, very related to what David said. How do you see the added value in your case? And how do you see that having like circular products show are like, how do you show it to the audience, like to your clients, that they have more value?
Because I try to answer this question, because we don't have a product itself. It's a business model. It's a combination of many things. So Um, the way that we are trying to do it at the moment is we're trying to do a few um, pilot project like We Will Fly and a few NGOs at the same time, partners, so that we can test the concept in many angles. So we are not at a large scale right at the moment. We're testing it because there's a lot of challenges at the moment. We are already solving the challenges, and at the same time, and try to avoid to replicate it when we are moving at a larger scale. So what we are trying to do, how we're presenting it, is in terms of reducing e-waste, um, at the same time helping companies to be part of showing that they are doing sustainable activities, they're supporting sustainable. We also helping NGOs, youth, and so on to better find opportunities. We're showing that, and at the same time, it's important to measure. I think that at the point in time we try to say that we need to measure, because everywhere you go, people will ask you how many laptops have you converted, how many devices have you converted, so that they can invest or whatever. So for us, having converting during the past years around 200 machines with the technologies and so on is huge for us, because when we started, uh, having people to give you at least one device, because people are donating, companies are donating the laptops for the project. So having, let's say, 200 devices is used for us to showcase in the pilot. I hope I understand. I answered to your question.
Yes, and also that gives a space to the next question that is regarding the impact. How do you measure that impact? Because the impact cannot only be like how many, for example, how many laptops you have reused, but also to show
Yeah.
like the whole system, like the training and the impact more like in the long-term perspective. How do you measure it?
Yeah. In fact, in the very short, and when short term, by the end of this year. So because the idea is to see how we can have been able to firstly repair the device, train the kids to let them to use the device, or in education, or it can be communities and NGOs. It's not, when we're talking about education, we're not talking about solely the main education system. We're talking about uh, everyone in the education, but it goes beyond education. It can be in work also. So trying to measure how many people have followed our trainings, how been expand their knowledge, and see how we are repairing the device, what software we are doing, what is installed on that. Because the more we are using it ourselves, we know what is working and what is not working. That's why I would think at the end of this session, try to have a sort of lot of practical session we can be with together, how we can help people at large scale to try to implement it remotely. So we will try to measure, have a sort of measuring ways. But as during a conversation with Mark we had a few weeks ago about having a sort of flexible system to measure the impact, because one institution or NGO can request something, and another one can request something different. So we need to be flexible in terms of the way that we measure the impact. That's, I hope, an answer to your question.
Thank you, Francois. Yes, and thank you, Anna, for bringing the question. Measuring the impact is key to any pilot project. Even before you launch a pilot project, you want to know what's the intended outcome of your activities. You want to do something for circular economy as an innovation, but it's not just to it's not for marketing purposes, or just for the cool factor of having something that is circular or trendy. You need to show what's the real return of the activity. So, and it's going to serve you in better aligning your hypothesis of the activities, how you're doing it to maximize the impact. You'll be able to know also what are people taking out of it. If you need to promote it, we're talking about funding later, but in your pitch deck, you need to be able to say what you're doing, how you're doing it, what's the progress on it. You need to be able to show that. Um, so a lot of reasons to measure, and we know the famous saying also, you can't change what you don't measure, of course. So David, in the same line, I'd like to hear what's your plan, impact reporting and measurement strategy.
Yeah, I think it might be slightly different from what Francois is looking at, because we have more of a product that will be sent out from our factory to the industry to produce materials and gets to the customers, and they use it for how long ever they're going to use it. One of the things that we are looking out for in the circular economy module that we are looking at is how the system will, this product will get back to the source, be crushed to prepare something else. And that's one of the things that we are looking at to measure impact, or it could potentially get in the hands of someone who could see something useful to use it for, because the idea is whatever we add to this material in terms of binders, resins, adhesives, whatever thing could be sustainable and can be crushed to make composting and gets into the soil, and then the cycle goes over and over again. So those are the things that we want to make sure that the product could sell itself in as much as we can add a status to it. One of the things is the impact is to carry this message along its value chain and be able to communicate to users, for them to know that it can be used for this certain purpose, or you could locate our factory for it to be crushed again. We are also paying a little bit more attention to impact in terms of emissions, trying to use sustainable energy sources, transportation, and trying to limit our stations as much as possible, so that we can reduce transportation of vendors from one point to the other. So those are some of the little things that we are making sure to measure impact. And because we are coming from a more research background, we are really investing a lot of time into research to understand the life cycle of every material, adhesive, or anything that we are adding to the system. And we really know that it's going to bear really good fruits in that airspace.
Good point when you're talking about life cycle analysis. Of course, looking at the scope. So it's not just what you produce. I've seen that in some examples of circular economy where they're growing something, producing something, and then disposing of something. For me, that's not circular. That's linear. You can have you using a something that is biodegradable to produce something as a material, resin or whatever, but there's no plan, there's no continuity before or after in the life cycle analysis. You're actually using water and new water, new energy to grow something new. Anyways, even if it was wood, if you were growing wood to create something and then throw it in the garbage after, yes, it's gonna decompose over time, but the mindset is not circular, even though it's an environmental friendly product. So like when you're talking about life cycle analysis, where does it come from? What's the scope or what's the carbon footprint that is related to what's happened before and that you want to encourage? Because you have to keep in mind also when we're putting a business model that is successful, you're encouraging a source supplying of a product also. You don't want people to do on purpose, create more waste on purpose because they can sell it. So you need to make sure that the footprint is minimal on what's encouraging before, cradle to gate. And afterwards, also what happens with your product at the end, and it continues to have its life cycle, that there's a taker, there's a next step to be really in the circular loop with the life cycle analysis. Very good, very good. I think this is all the time that we had for the question and answers. We hope that's been very useful. Thank you very much, Francois and David. So like we said, if there's any questions, we welcome people to put their questions in the LinkedIn that has been shared for the post in the chat. We'd like to take maybe a few minutes to share the map that we've been working on and share that with you guys. So I'll share my screen. If I can have if I can share, I can put in the chat here the link to the map, but I don't think I can share my screen. Tracy or Madalena, I put the link to the chat, the link in the chat, so you could share it. I don't know. Yeah, very good. Good. So yes, you can click on that. And then, so the idea of this is to connect sources of materials to usages. So we have categories, the type, categories, source, materials, subproduct, and usage. So it looks like it's all mixed up, and it is all mixed up. But you could sort it by looking at what can I do. For example, if you go in source and in source category, or the type if you want, but the source is okay. And you say, okay, Apple, for example, you click on Apple. So what do you do with leftover apples? So then you could see, well, from the apple, there's the apple cores that you could use. You can click on that, apple cores. And then you can see apples, you could use the apple seeds. And from the apple seeds, you can create, there should be a usage section. But from if you go on the other side, you can create from the apple cores, you can use create vinegar. So this is, there's like hundreds of materials in it for now, and you can filter through that. So if you re-click again on the apple, yeah, click on the box to untick it in the list that you have there. There you go. So then you go back to the map. You could go from the other side also. If you go in usage on the top category and you say, well, I want to use this is for plastic, if you had plastic caps for bottle, waste bottle, or if you could click maybe on something else like abrasive. Then if you had shattered glass, then you could use that in abrasive. So the reason for this it's a free, it's public access. So the idea is that just that people can share their idea. So we're putting it there, but we're welcoming suggestions also. If people have the same structure in the quick survey that we will have for you for your feedback on the webinar, there's also a space for you if you want to make suggestions, just put it like that. Type, category, source, material, subproduct, and usage. And if we're going to put that in the map, duplicates are going to be filtered automatically. But the idea is to just create that kind of library. So it doesn't give you the formula, the recipe to do the vinegar from the apple cores. If you want to find those recipes, you go and look that up on Google. But at least the idea is that you're in a conversation, walking down the street with somebody, you see all these bananas waste on the side of the road, and you say, what could we do with that? Banana peels, there's the nutrients also that could be used. So it just gives, just to spur ideas from going from waste to manage the waste, or from a usage and try to see what could fulfill that potential usage and go back, trickle up to that line of potential products that could be used. So that's the idea of the map. Thank you for sharing the map for us.
So as Mark said, well, he shared in the chat the link to the map. Please, we also want to invite you all to take like 2 minutes to fill in the survey so we can stay connected, and you can also keep helping with this map. That the idea is that it is collective and it is done and like it's open for everyone. not just to know like a potential usage, but if that eventually can become like into a business, this is like a good way to start. We also wanted to invite you tomorrow to another session that we will be hosting in Spanish. It's tomorrow, May 8th at 7 p.m. CEST. I'll write on the chat the link so you can join us. It will also have we will have other invitees. It will be Colombian entrepreneurs that are working in the textile industry and are working in the toy industry. We also want to invite you to participate in the Catalyst 2030 Awards, the Catalyst Market. Go and visit it and buy gift for Mother's Day. They not only have like gifts that are from like entrepreneurial, but also they also focus like sustainable people that are working to create those circular products that we were talking today. And also, if you have any questions, you can go and ask Catalyst, and you are all welcome to join the movement and become a member. And I'll send you the invite to the other event that we'll have tomorrow at 7 p.m. CEST. And thank you all for joining us.
Don't forget to fill the survey, please, to let us know your appreciation of the webinar, suggestions on things that we could do to improve it. We did one last year, doing one this year. Now there's one in Spanish. There will be probably one in French also after the Catalyst Change Week, but we want to always try to bring content that is valuable for you guys. So please let us know and complete the short survey. I saw some hands raised with just a clap, or is there any questions before we close the webinar? Any questions? Comments? David? Last word?
All things clear.
François?
Thank you very much, everyone, the Catalyst team, yourself, Marc-André, Anna, for giving us this opportunity to share. Because, yeah, we are very far away Mauritius, and it's very great pleasure to share and see how we can collaborate. Definitely, I think, with David very soon. Yeah. Thank you
Great.
very
And
much.
I saw, thank you, François and David. And I saw people wanted to know about education also, courses about circular economy. One of our partner, Cameron Price, mentioned it in the chat also. Cameron, if you want to reshare the link at the end, you're welcome to do so. Good stuff from Cameron. So I vetted. I don't have any doubts about the quality if anybody is curious about his teachings and courses. So that's it for. Thank you, Cameron, for sharing that. Very good, very good. So we'll close it on that. Thank you very much for your attendance. And feel free to ask us questions, connect with us on LinkedIn, and continue the conversation. Good luck with your projects, and I hope we can help you if you have any ideas that need our support. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Everybody, ciao.
Take care. Bye.